Behind home plate, we bringing it to them all day. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Win or lose, we bringing it to you always. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Orange or black, we rebuild the pack. No matter where we at, you know we coming back. Section 336, we on this, so tune in. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Yeah, welcome to Birdland. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Now, here come the boys from Section 336.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Baltimore sports fans of all ages, welcome to Section 336, Next Generation of Baltimore Sports Talk. I am your endearing starring host, Matt Sroka. And as always, I'm joined by the button lover, Josh Sroka.
Hey, Matt, there's a third box today.
Well, the third person in our intro video, the zany one, Bert Rohde. Hey, Bert.
What's up, boys? Good to
First
be back.
time
Good to
of
see you.
2025.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Gosh, I think I might have done one with you guys last year. Maybe I should have looked it up beforehand.
I got to be honest, Bert, based on how the Orioles are playing, I did not expect to see you on this podcast anytime soon.
I like to jump in when things are at their worst, but now we've got a 3-game winning streak, so I'm back in, baby.
Oh, yeah, so that's why I came on.
No, I was texting Josh earlier about random stuff, MLB The Show, PlayStation, and then I'm curious to hear about your trip to Boston because I'm going at the end of June just as like a bucket list trip. I've never been, I want to go. So I figured this would be a good time to hear about your experience and maybe ask some questions or make sure I take advantage of my one night in Boston.
Yeah, and I'm guessing your weather will be better than our weather. So maybe
fingers crossed.
Can enjoy that a little more because the weather was quite miserable the entire time. I mean, even if you look at when we were at game 2, the actual second game that was played, I felt like it was game 5. I felt like we'd been to the stadium and sat in our seats multiple times. If you look at the schedule,
not a single game we went to
6 times.
Yeah. Not a single game we went to started on the right time or even the right day.
Right. Yeah. With the game Thursday was canceled. Doubleheader Friday. Played one game on Friday. One of the most depressing games you ever watched, by the way. Mm-hmm. And then doubleheader, and then the second game doubleheader was canceled, which turned out maybe for the best. And then doubleheader on Saturday, which was then delayed, but finally played. But we got in all the games we intended on watching, and that was a bit of a question mark. And we got in our Fenway tour, which is really cool. You need to do the Fenway tour, Bert.
Yeah, I have the tickets. Yep.
All
I want to hear about that a little. Yeah.
Good. Because I mean, one of my takeaways from our experience going to Boston and Fenway, and this is nothing surprising, but it's all the history, right? Not just of Boston, but the history of Fenway.
100%.
Like Sass and I went a few months ago and toured Diamondback Stadium, and they have a cool stadium with retractable roof. But there was when they were telling
no history.
When the tour guide was telling stories, he was telling like baseball stories, not like Diamondback stories. But you go to Boston, there's an endless amount of cool stories about the wall, how it was built, the seats, the ladder on the Green Monster, the foul pole have their own history. It's just cool.
And it's a tour guide telling us these stories about the Red Sox history that he's clearly heard from his grandparents and father as passed down because there's true history there.
Yeah,
And Chase Field in Phoenix is a very modern baseball stadium.
Yes.
Where Fenway is the complete opposite.
Yes. Yeah.
And Chase Field has a few more World Series under its belt than Camden Yards has ever had.
Yeah, and a swimming pool. So.
Yes.
Now there's negatives to Fenway as well. There's times where I can see, as a Red Sox fan, I could grow tired of the history and be like, I wish I had comfortable seats.
Right, having the same seats since 1920 is pretty cool. Like we built these seats in 1920 after the fire. That's pretty cool. But also, like, they are the same exact seats, same exact wood, like same exact spacing.
Now,
as 1920 seats.
There's plenty. I like to think of Camden Yards as a modern ballpark, even though I know it's like one of like the 10th oldest. It's in the top 10 oldest.
Which is wild.
Fenway has a better sound system, has better jumbotrons.
Oh, it's not even close. Yeah.
And of course, a better atmosphere. So that was interesting to see as well. Like the stadium, all the excuses we hear for like they're not valid for why the sound system and video system sucks at Camden Yards.
Yeah.
And then it's just the baseball city versus whatever, all those stupid arguments about are we a baseball town or a football town or whatever. None of that matters in Boston. You get a full stadium and people who are into it.
And it looks like, at least from watching on television, and you guys can confirm this, that you're basically sitting on top of the person next to you. The seats are small and very close together.
Yes.
It's not just a television illusion.
Right. Because of the rain delays, I think Saturday was the only game we had. I think game 2 of Saturday was the only one that really looked like a sellout in the stadium where we weren't able to spread out.
Right.
And yes, I had, half my body pressed up against some random girl, the other half pressed up against dad the whole time.
It was romantic. The downside is you have people all up in your business, but the positive, it does, like, the stadium feels so almost like a minor league vibe where all the seats feel so close because they cram all in there, and there's everyone, no matter where you're sitting, you're just a baseball throw away from the field. And so there is this closeness you feel wherever you're sitting. And we sat in 3 different seats, and I felt 3 different kind of distinct vibes in each of the seats. In the first seats, we were in those old 1920 seats, which was really crammed. Thankfully, it was, the rain delay game, so we got spread out a little bit because not everyone came. And then the Saturday game was our best seats, and those were really good, a little bit more comfortable, still jammed up together, but a little bit more comfortable. And they were the closest to the field. And then the bleachers, and I think this is true in any ballpark, it's just a whole different animal in the bleachers, right? You have more younger people there, more partying. I mean, Josh, I think you were fortunate next to wherever you were sitting next to that night, because I had a drunk Boston fan screaming, "Let's go Boston" in my ear throughout the entire game. And he was a nice dude, and he wasn't mean. Like, everyone was nice. But man, he was obnoxious.
Yeah,
so,
no, I don't mind.
But that's bleachers. That's bleachers.
Just kept moving around. Yeah. The what's amazing about the bleachers at Fenway is there's like 50 rows of bleachers. It goes back forever. Like, it goes back. There's the
That's true. Much longer than Camden. Yeah.
There's one seat
deeper
out in center field bleachers where it's red because
Ted Williams.
Who was it? Ted Williams.
Yeah.
Hit the ball there. Furthest ball ever hit in Fenway. It's like 520 feet.
Wow.
Apparently Ortiz came out with metal bats to try to hit it and could not get the ball that far.
Hey, let me ask you a question about that, because they talked about perhaps the explanation being they built up more of a skyline around Boston and
they said that when that happened, the big press box behind home plate was not there, so the wind could just come right in from home plate.
Rush right through.
Yes.
Is there any of that development around Camden Yards has impacted, like Hilton want to impact the ability to hit the warehouse?
No.
Then why did Ken Griffey hit it off a bounce and no one else has ever has?
I'm sure you guys have seen there's been produced YouTube videos and stuff where scientists explain the way the wind hits the warehouse and weather conditions. Like, even on a windy day, the wind hits the warehouse and immediately shoots down. So any ball that could be close to hitting the warehouse, the wind is going to push it down before it gets. And the conditions have to be like perfect.
And the
launch angle.
And with all these renovations, I like to see some renovations that allow the wind to run through, allow a warehouse ball.
Well, the players,
a giant fan.
The players have said
big holes in the warehouse.
Yeah.
The players have said that they have hit the warehouse during batting practice.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, multiple players have said they've seen it hit during batting practice.
Have you ever heard that, Bert?
I've heard that rumor.
You've heard that? Okay.
And that would have mean that it's also
but there's
part
no
of
video
pitching. There's no video.
All right.
You think in this TikTok day and age, some relief pitcher in the bullpen would be taking videos of batting practice of them hitting the warehouse.
Yeah, but I'll still be skeptical of it. Even now, I'll say, well, AI,
Yeah, of course. Now. That's just MLB The Show.
Right. Can you hit the warehouse in the show?
Sam Horn, Jason Giambi, David Ortiz, and Chris Davis have hit it during batting practice.
Okay, according to your research.
Those are all believable
Google search
to me.
Yeah. And it's all the biggest guys to play in Camden Yards, and it was probably done pre-Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Of course, he's righty, right?
He is a righty. Yes, that's true.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, I'm sorry, I got us distracted there. So, yeah. Anyway, with the built-up skyline and stuff, there's no one. But it is those bleachers. Josh was talking about how they go so deep, and even the Ted Williams seat was 8 rows behind where we were sitting.
Yeah.
And I thought we were a little far back. So that is the one. The bleachers do feel a little far away.
Yeah, they are, because we were row 21 of the bleachers. So
and
we
you
were
also
pretty far back
have
there.
And you also have the bullpens in between the field and the bleachers too. So it makes it a little bit further. So that's the one section where it's a little bit further back.
Yeah. And
are they like true bleachers? Like no armrests, no actual seats, like
no,
benches?
they're traditional. They're old but traditional separate seats.
Okay.
Now what's fun about the bleachers, and I've never seen this before, and it happened every inning for the first 6 innings, is someone would come and try to sit down in the bleachers in the wrong section or the wrong row or the wrong seat. There was an issue with people finding their proper seats every single inning for more than half the game.
Yeah, it was a bit chaotic back there. And the rows, Josh, they must be extra. There must be more seats per row than at Camden Yards, because if you were going down a wrong section, it's a long way to get back out if you're in the middle of the row.
Yes,
it was a really long way. Yeah.
But yeah, try to sit. I wouldn't recommend the bleacher seats. The seats that we did not experience were the upper deck seats, which I bet were outstanding views.
Yes. Yeah, the upper deck seems really close to the field too.
And
I'll tell you
about far back. Maybe 10 rows of upper deck, it looks like.
I'll tell you what I got, and you can tell me if this is a terrible idea or not.
I hope you're not behind a pole. That's all I got.
I already have them. We don't actually have seats. We were standing room on the top of the Green Monster.
All right.
Oh, so is that going to be cool?
Maybe.
I've heard that that's the only way you can even get up there is if you have a ticket to that section.
Yes.
Well, you can get up in the tour, but not during the game.
The cool thing, and that's what I was going to say, the cool part might be it's not like it's going to be jammed packed because they limit the number of standing room seats up there.
Sure.
And we did a tour. We went up there, so we did stand up there in the standing room only sections, and it's kind of a cool view.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, I don't know if you walked around the stadium and saw some of the standing room only sections, Josh, at least in the lower, this is the lower section, not the Green Monster, but they had like painted off where the standing room is. Cause it's small areas back there. And it's like the walking area is the same place where the standing room only is. And some of them were like right behind the seats. So those are cool. And some of them were like on the other side of the walkway, like tucked into a corner. And I was like, you can only see half the field.
Sure.
Yes.
So I would assume you had to get there early and stake out your spot, your standing room only spot.
But take a glove if you're up there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I'm with Albie's coming with me and his buddy from his team. So there's 3 of us. I'm sure the boys will bring their gloves. I probably won't, but the kids can.
Yeah. No, I think that's cool. That's one thing. I mean, that's, I guess, part of the bucket list thing, right? Is going on top of the Green Monster. Silas and I, we want to go to the Greenville Drive and go to a minor league game and sit on top of the Green Monster for a minor league game.
Oh,
we're not quite on that
affiliate.
I didn't know they had a wall for minor league.
Yeah, the Greenville Drive too.
Tried to go to Mercer one.
Yeah.
But we just didn't have the time.
Yeah, just another time.
And we've all been.
Well, I was in Boston during it. Yeah.
And we've all been to Boston Spring Train facility that has their own monster.
Yeah.
As well.
But that's it. But it's different than being in Fenway on top of the monster.
Yes,
that's cool. For glad you're doing
that. And that's the cool. It all comes down to just being in Fenway and the history and the fact that we talk about how Camden Yards is in the city. Well, Fenway is in the city.
Right.
It's way tighter. We had our hotel was a 2-3 minute walk from the stadium, maybe.
Nice.
And that's how I would do it. It was ideal. And it was perfect for the rain delays and not knowing when the actual game, because we could sit in our room, leave the TV on until they remove the tarp, and then walk down the street.
Nice.
And not miss the first pitch. It was perfect.
Yeah. I thought it was convenient to have a hotel so close, but then with all the rain delays, it almost became a necessity. It would have been miserable to wait out all these rain delays. And then Saturday, when they didn't even play the second game, or Friday when they didn't even play the second game, like that would have been super miserable to go all the way out there and sit in the rain and then have them not play.
And 2 hours in between each game, so it's not like we wanted to sit in a bar and just wait it out.
Right.
And
even if it hadn't been raining and all these rain delays and rain outs, it looked like it was pretty chilly up there.
Yeah, it was cold too.
Hoodie weather.
It was 50 degrees.
Wow. Yeah.
But cool experience, and I wish we saw better baseball. We saw one of the wins though, and I think when you look back on the schedule and you say, "Oh, we split with Boston," we can walk away and be happy about that. But
Well,
we
just-
had to sit there through the 19 to 5
ignore the
game.
outcome of the first game.
Yes.
More than that, Josh, we witnessed the official turnaround of the Orioles baseball season.
Yes, we did.
I hope you went to Vegas and put your money for them to make that final wildcard spot, because this team has turned around. We finally have a manager who's serious.
Yeah.
Like that jokester hide, and all of a sudden we're playing some good baseball.
Well,
Charlie
get to it.
Morton's pitching good.
We'll get to it because we saw Trevor Rogers pitch well and Charlie Morton pitch
Trevor
well.
Rogers.
And
Trevor
then finally,
Rogers is I mean, this guy is a total bum, right? Like, he hasn't emerged from the ooze of the minors, and his minors numbers are terrible. And the only reason he's here is because of doubleheader, and we're desperate with injuries. And he pitches not well, Josh. He pitches a magnificent gem. Out of it was miraculous.
correct.
And the start today by Morton
Now-
was also wild too. It's wild things are happening
Yeah.
right when we
No,
get a new
it's
manager.
true. And then today's game with Charlie Morton pitching was just a fun, like, coached baseball game with good pitching. And when's the last time you saw the Orioles bunt? They never bunt, and they finally bunted today. So it was cool. It does seem like, I know we're doing this show and we're always hot or cold. But
Based on how they're
after
winning.
3 winning games, we are desperate to see this team turn around. So we have to be like, well, that's it.
Yeah, you should hear some things Josh was saying about manager Tony after the
Oh,
after the
manager
first
Tony.
loss.
Tony, Bert, have you watched any of Tony's post game?
Yeah, he's a joke. He cannot leave soon enough. I don't care if they win every game the rest of this season. He needs to go.
I watched one press conference and said this guy's not going to last a month. The poor guy.
No.
Yeah. Now, as much as I want the Orioles to get hot and get that playoff spot, we need to make sure that he does not win like manager of the year for turning the team around.
Yeah,
because
he doesn't
I
get any of the
cannot
credit.
watch these for another season.
Well, we scored more points than everyone else all season.
He said that his job is to make sure everyone feels loved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sass, your thoughts? Hold up. Sass, something to say. He's been kicking me on the table.
I was like watching a show on the MLB app. They were saying about Brandon Hyde's dismissal of the players, and they sound like they hated Brandon Hyde leaving.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think
it was not
no one
popular
wanted
among the players.
Yeah.
yes. The only person that anyone liked Brandon Hyde being gone is the fans.
Yeah,
And
but
maybe
then,
Mike Elias because he didn't have to fire himself.
yes, but then we heard one interview with the inner manager, and all the fans were like, "Oh crap, what have we
Yes.
done?"
Yes.
And
It's
I mean,
like,
the players.
no, what do you? It's like we wanted Buck Britton, and you put this guy there. What's going on?
And the players
Michael
can cry me a river because it's their fault he's gone. So
Yeah, exactly.
How much
that's
is
right.
this?
I
Do you
miss
think-
him. It's not his fault.
You
Yeah,
think
you're
Tony's
right.
the manager because Mike Elias. It's part of Mike Elias sticking it to the fans for forcing Brendan Hyde out. Because he didn't want to fire Brendan Hyde, so he's like, "Fine, I'll just make Tony the manager. Let's see how everyone thinks of me now."
Well, and listen, I mean, if Tony Manzolino, and it's not just a press conference, Josh, why in like a 1-run game in the 8th and 9th inning, when you decide, first of all, to start the game with Jorge Mateo at center, and we can talk
Well,
about
you
that. I don't think that's a
stars on
terrible
your bench.
decision. I don't think it's a terrible decision to start him at center. Whatever, you're trying it. I don't care.
Right.
This season is crap. But then in the 8th and 9th inning, when it's a 1-run, you have a 1-run lead. Why Cedric Mullins is still on the bench and we're watching Jorge Mateo experience the
He
center
should've-
field is beyond me. There was multiple times where you could pinch hit, for example, Jackson Holiday in the 8th and 9th inning, and you chose not to.
Yes.
So it's not just his
But
press
the
conference.
defense- right.
Managerial decisions are a little bit head scratching.
Or,
Well,
or
as
not
he's-
walking Devers that night.
Yeah.
Oh, not walking Devers
What a joke.
Well, and
with
that's
first
the
base
thing.
open.
And the comments for not choosing not to walk him.
Well,
You
and his
heard of all
comments,
those, right?
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
And, well, okay.
And
We
his
could go all
comments
day.
for a position player pitching.
And when
I didn't hear
Boston
that
did
one,
it,
but yeah.
well, when Boston put their guy in, there was like, well, what are your thoughts on Boston with the lead throwing opposition player? And he was like, well, that justifies my decision to use a pitcher to use a position player because they use a position player.
Now, and that's the thing is, for pitching to Devers, that costs us the game. Not putting Mullins out in center field and letting Mateo play where he catches and drops that ball over the fence.
Well, I don't know if Mullins catch. That's not an easy play, but yeah.
And we
Mullins would have caught
game.
that. Mullins has climbed the fence and caught balls many times. He could have caught that ball.
Certainly, you would rather someone out there who's done it 1,000 times as opposed to someone who's done it 0 times.
Yeah. Well, were you happy to see Mateo in left field today?
I do actually like it. I'm okay with it.
I didn't mind that because home is such a big field. You need to cover a lot of space.
Well, and because all the injuries, and I don't know what Mateo's future here is, but
yes.
If he wants to stick on, I think he has to do that. But I think what these 3 wins show is that like managers, it's about the players, right? Like did Manzolino, did he give the pep talk
But hold on.
to Trevor Rogers?
Did he get the
pep
but
talk
we also
to
just pointed out specific examples where the manager lost us the game.
But we just won 3 in a row, Josh.
I know. In spite of Tony.
You think in spite of Tony? See, you're doing this. You already ran out of hide out of town, and now you're going after Tony. Maybe what this team needs is kind of the Ted Lasso vibe, right? The all chucks. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to level my guys. I'm going to give them positive feedback. I'm going to level my guys. And maybe that's what we need. Who knows?
If I tell you what wins, I won't be mad, but I'll just be a little annoyed still.
I tell you, his press conferences now are must-watch TV for me.
Yes.
He is the most, I think, authentic and honest. Even like he doesn't know players' names, and he'll just admit, "Oh, I can't," whatever. And it was like Rafael Devers, dude. That's the player whose name you can't remember.
The hottest guy in baseball this month.
But he doesn't say like, well, and their guy got us. He like acknowledges, oh, what's that guy's name? Like, you're not supposed to say that when
you make a good point.
If
the Orioles continue to win baseball, then these post-game conferences will become endearing instead of dreaded. It's the first time I'm watching post-game conferences and really caring since Buck Showalter. Brendan Hyde never said anything.
The third base coaches don't have post-game press conferences.
Yeah, that's true too. Like this is his first, second, third ones. Like he hasn't been doing this for a while. I don't know. Is the thing where you're not supposed to say concussion, by the way? Because in the post game, he kept on saying Adley Rutschman's going through the process.
Yes, because if you say concussion, he'll go into the protocol, which is like 7 days down.
Isn't the process the protocol?
I don't know what process you were talking about. A process that may end tomorrow instead of 7 days.
He's going through the process. All right.
Yeah, he's going through the process.
All right. That's fine. Well, at least he can be a little coy and a little kind of hold his, hand close to his chest, I guess, in that scenario.
Do you do you have a problem that they did not call up Basallo while Adley's going through the process?
No, I don't have a problem with that.
All right. So if he does have to go through from the process to the protocol, we're going to have 2 AAA catchers up here.
Yeah. I mean, this turns into something extended with Adley, and we've seen like with Cedric Mullins, right? Little head injury turn into something more. Then maybe you can have the conversation, but right now it's just kind of day to day. So I don't know why you bring the follow-up for day to day.
And I think they're not worried about it since they're calling it a process instead of the protocol. If they really thought he had a concussion, it'd be into the protocol.
I mean, he was there chilling in the dugout today.
Yeah, he was just
cheering on the team
or just staring into the corner, not knowing what's going on.
He had sunglasses on, so it's hard you couldn't see his eyes.
He's just taking a nap.
Yeah, even in the dark dugout. So,
Bert, how have you handled this season?
Yeah, I was going to go there too, Josh. You read my mind. Bert, I'm curious. We haven't talked to you at all. What are your and for those who don't know, the zany one, Bert Rohde, did billions of episodes with us, and you've fallen off. Now you're back on the wagon.
Billions.
How have you? How are you feeling about this season?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I might be a little glitchy. I don't know if it's on my end. So I missed the question you just asked me.
How are you doing with this season? Are you ready for football season, or are you still all in Orioles season?
How are you feeling about the season, the Orioles season?
He may need to
Not
close and restart.
good. You need to refresh.
Yeah, go ahead and refresh.
BRB.
So
we get to the point of the show where we turn directly to him for his input.
Right.
And he turns.
No
off
wonder
this
he's been sitting there so quietly.
Yeah. But I don't know how many. But Josh, what percentage of our listeners do you think know who Bert Rohde is?
I'd say about half.
About half. Bert is our brother-in-law. Maybe we should have led with that.
Yeah.
Married to our
brother-in-law.
sister.
He probably did 400 episodes with us, I think.
Okay.
Maybe 300.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 606 is this one.
Yeah.
So he probably did half. All right. Bert, do you have a better connection now?
Hi, guys.
Hi, Bert. How we doing?
He was all good.
I don't know. Yes, as of right now, we were smooth sailing for the longest time until about the last 3 minutes. Huh?
Yeah, when we started asking you direct questions, Bert, you started
I'm not happy with how the Orioles season is going so far.
Are you still watching every game?
I'm not watching every game, but I see the results of every game. I watched every game this weekend. Yeah.
Have you been to a few games?
Even the blowout.
Okay. Yeah, how many games have you been to, Bert?
One game, opening day.
Okay. How surprised are you about the way the season turned out? I for one, am shocked. How are you about the season?
Yeah, it's very shocking. Well, but not all that unexpected because of the replacements. You can't do anything about the injuries, obviously, and hearing good things about Kowser and Westberg going to Norfolk, like that's very positive news to be hearing because at least we get a more realistic, consistent major league caliber lineup every night and not Mateo starting and not Carlson starting and not Maverick Handley starting. Like and not Emmanuel Rivera. Like get our stars, our star hitters, our star defenders out there. That's a good team. Pitching, the guys they brought in are just not the answer, not it. Except for now, I'm excited about Trevor Rogers.
Yeah.
Well, Trevor Rogers is interesting because this is what he was supposed to do last year. This was the whole reason we traded for him, was to pitch like he pitched this weekend.
Right.
Well, it was to recapture what he did, going back to 2021 or something.
Yeah.
It's to kind of recapture his potential. I feel like when people talk about this season, they fall into different camps on why this has all happened. Some people go with the injuries. Some people go with fire Mike Elias. It's his fault. Some people go with the manager, right? Fire Hyde, and he was kind of causing a lot of the problems, like Josh.
Or off-season moves.
Yeah, off-season moves, which I think falls on Elias. Like Elias didn't do enough to prepare this team. And I keep on thinking, because I feel a lot of people are calling for the firing of Mike Elias now. And I just can't help but think how far this franchise has come in the past 5 years. And I was just, thinking about what has caused this. And I don't know. I think the injuries are there, obviously, and the signings are there, obviously. But I think Elias really is the victim of a perfect storm that involved every free agent he signed outside of Tommy Sugar being an absolute disaster. And you could say, well, if you're signing older guys, you should expect that. But I mean, he signed Tyler O'Neill. You go with Gary Sanchez. They're not elite players, but they're players. You can even talk about Kyle Gibson, who have proven track records over years and years and years. And you don't think they're going to go from having an ERA in the mid-4s to having an ERA in the mid-12s in one season. And it wasn't just one guy. Like, how do you have every signing not work out? I don't think it's Elias' fault because he did it, but also it's hard to prepare and anticipate every signing not playing as well as you
You
have for
can't
years
plan it.
before.
Even if you sign bad guys, you still can't plan for them all to be bad.
And then the second thing that happened is all the young players that we were counting on kind of stepping up. Like, why is Emmanuel Rivera even playing games now when you have Kobe Mayo sitting in the minors, right? Because Kobe Mayo hasn't taken the next step up that I thought he would. Why is Heston Kjerstad batting in the 190s or whatever he is now? Because he was supposed to be the replacement for Santander, Hemon O'Neill. How's that working out? And so I think also the young players who you, and don't even get me started on Matt Castle, the young players who you thought were going to take that next level up haven't taken that next step. And that's been kind of problem 2. And then problem 3, and this is why this all turns into this perfect storm of us stinking, because I keep on thinking, like, what is going on, is the injuries. And I mean, we have 10 guys on the IL. As Josh mentioned, our 10 guys in the IL is a better team than the 9 guys are rolling out.
It's definitely a better rotation.
Like, we have a better team injured than we do healthy. And so you add up every signing just kind of backfiring, young players not taking the next step up, and all the injuries. It leads to, if you add all that stuff up, this result isn't that surprising.
Agreed.
So I don't think the answer to that is fire Mike Elias. I'll say that.
I agree.
Right. And it also feels like things have been so bad that it can't get worse. Like, it can only go up at this point, you would think. And maybe that's what we're starting to see this weekend.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's when Charlie Morton's is starting with the area of 10 or whatever, it's hard to go. Yeah, it's hard to go from there.
Well, and look at the stars of the past couple games. Charlie Morton, Trevor Rogers, Dylan Carlson.
Yeah, don't like Carlson.
That's what I'm saying. Is Dylan Carlson good? And he just didn't get the playing time? Now he's getting some playing time?
He's had a good week.
Good 2 games. Don't give him a week.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 games.
Ramon Laureano's had a good week too, but he's not the answer.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the guy
are these good placeholders? Maybe.
Yeah, I heard someone say, well, Dylan Carlson, like, maybe someone said this on the broadcast, that perhaps he's the next Ryan O'Hearn. And Ryan O'Hearn, by the way, is having an excellent year. And it doesn't mean Dylan Carlson's a star, right? But he's that platoon, can bat 7 or 8 in the lineup, can play all 3 outfield positions. And so, yeah, I mean, Dylan Carlson's not supposed to be getting playing time, though, right? This is a result of injuries and bad performance is the only reason Dylan Carlson's even playing. And
Laureano getting hurt.
Or let's say injuries. Yeah, and Cowser.
Yeah,
injuries. Yeah.
Sure.
That's why Jorge Mateo's playing.
And there might be something there for Carlson. Carlson had a great game today against the Cardinals. There might be something to be playing against his former team. A little
revenge
incentive
factor
to do well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
O'Neill did well against Boston, right?
Hey, yeah, listen.
I mean, earlier in the season.
Yeah. I think we just, like, he's a one-day contract situation. Can we just sign him for 1 day for opening day so he can hit his home run? And then be done with him after he hits his opening day home run.
Yeah, until it ends. Keep riding it.
Yeah.
So
we're all together on this fire Mike Elias, because it's just that irks me so much because of where this franchise was, not just the organization, but the minor leagues, the use of technology, the international development and scouting. All of that has been transformed under Mike Elias.
Yes.
And then 2 bad months of baseball, and you're ready to fire this guy who's systematically changed this organization is a little bit, I think, insane to me. And it annoys
to be
me every time
fair,
someone says it.
It's been 2 really bad months. And
Okay,
for all my hate of, and I will say,
after back-to-back playoff appearances, but go ahead.
To be fair to myself,
yeah,
with the Brandon Hyde firing, I've been asking for it for 3 years. I thought he should have been fired 2 years ago. So my desire to fire Brandon Hyde has nothing to do with the 2 months of losing.
I wanted
Brandon Hyde gone forever.
In your defense, you also had a hand-picked successor in Buck Britton, who was passed over.
Yes.
So your guy's not even on the team.
And that's why I think it's the Mike Elias stick-it factor to bring in Tony.
Because you don't think Mike Elias wanted to fire Hyde.
No, he clearly did not.
But there's also the argument, we haven't been a really good baseball team since pre-All-Star break last year. After the All-Star break last year, we were not good. Yeah.
Yes.
And we've been below 500 ever since then. So we're just picking up where we left off at the end of last season, except worse now.
Yeah, it's true. So, like, how long do you have to go playing below average baseball when you kind of acknowledge this is a below average team? I'm still not there yet. I still think we get guys healthy. This is still a good core of guys. The biggest criticism with Mike Elias is that he didn't address starting pitching enough. I think it's a combination. I mean, he made trades. He's made three trades in the past 2 years for good for certain pitchers. I almost said good, but two of them are good. And Corbin Burns, Zach Eflin, also traded for Trevor Rogers. Is that it? But that's like three distinct moves for, I think, trying to upgrade your starting pitching. He did not get any of the big names. I think that's the biggest knock. I think that's a fair knock that he didn't get some of the biggest name. I also think like what's happening in Miami with Kyle Stowers is really souring people towards Mike Elias too. But that's really hard, right? It's hard to predict
100%.
how players are going to perform. And Kyle Stowers didn't have a place here, right? Behind, you weren't going to play him ahead of Kerstad. And it's just unfortunate. Every prospect list in the world had Kerstad. He was drafted higher. He was drafted number 2 overall, Kerstad was. And every prospect list had him higher than Stowers. Who would have thought this year that Stowers would be 10 times the player that Kerstad has been? That's hard. But that's also, I'm saying, well, that's hard and you shouldn't fire Mike Elias for it. But it's also kind of your job, Mike Elias, is to figure that stuff out.
Yeah. And I was trying to find the stat I had for you over the weekend, Matt, of the Jordan Westburg being the key to all of this. Because manager Tony made some comment about Jordan Westburg being the glue that holds the whole team together. And when you look at the stats, where the Orioles started to suck last year is when Jordan Westburg got hurt. And the stats of the Orioles wins with Jordan Westburg versus without is dramatic enough to be a real stat. And to show there's a big difference for the team when he's with the team or without, which gives you hope for things clicking well now. And then you bring in Jordan Westburg, you bring in Colton Cowser, and just build on that.
I guess so. I mean, it's also the second time Jordan Westburg been injured, so you start thinking about how long will he be back for after he get injured.
Yeah, I don't want to think of him the way I think of Grayson Rodriguez.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, anytime you lose an everyday infielder, then Ramon Arias becomes an everyday infielder, and he's best in this platoon role or this utility man role. And then you have to have a new utility guy, which becomes Emmanuel Rivera, and it just throws everything off, right? When you lose one of your starters, and we've had that kind of in every position on our team.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful after winning 3 games, and we'll see. A week from now, I might be complaining again.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just curious, Bert, what are your thoughts on when Emmanuel Rivera, talking about him, when he came into pitch? And by the way, that game started off pretty well. Cade Povich pitched a good game, and we were in a good position when he left the game. And then things went off the rails quick. I never, rarely have I seen, I was going to say, no, that's not true. I've seen my dad upset a lot. But this was another incident where he would not even sit there in the stadium and watch Emmanuel Rivera pitch. He thought it was so disrespectful to the Orioles, to baseball, to have a position player pitch. Forget the save an arm. Like, just like the whole idea of it is just embarrassing. Bert, where do you come down on position players pitching?
Totally agree. But
yeah, it was humiliating. And watching just the radar gun pop up at like 42 miles an hour and 47 miles an hour, it was embarrassing. Yeah. And then they're just teeing off on him.
Yeah. And then
I
also say, like, when they put their position player in, we didn't take very many great at bats either. Like, our at bats weren't that great, which is annoying. Like, just sit there and take 4 pitches because they weren't throwing any strikes. But we weren't patient. We were just trying to get out of there and end the night, which is fine.
I know baseball does it to save their bullpens and save the arms. I don't like that. I think if you're in that bad of a situation, you should be punished by having to pitch through it and having to just use up all your arms.
Or if you do use a position player, there should be some kind of punishment for it.
Like what? What would be the punishment?
A spanking.
Besides
I don't know, Josh.
14 runs.
A timeout.
A timeout?
Yeah, fine them. Fine the organization. Whatever, $10,000.
All right, I'm okay with a fine.
Yeah.
Or Maybe it needs to be like coach pitch. The coach has to go out there and pitch.
Yeah, essentially that's what it is. It's like my 8-year-old doing coach
So
pitch.
I think the players enjoy it as a chance for like a position player to run out and do it. I think all the position players want to go out and do it in that situation just because it's something different. But I think baseball would be better off if they didn't allow it and force you to blow up your bullpen that day.
Yeah, I think it's silly. At least Rivera was up there trying to throw some pitches. He was throwing like curveballs and
Yeah, I
sliders,
wasn't
at least
just lofting it in.
And then those fastball always registers.
Defist pitches.
Yeah, exactly. You have something to add, Silas? No? Okay.
Silas, this week we saw some new City Connect jerseys by the Boston Red Sox. I hear that you have sat down and ranked your favorite City Connect jerseys. Would you like to share those with us?
Just share your top 3. Give us your top 3, and let's see what. I mean, Bert is the real uniform guy here, so I'm curious to get his. I don't really care, but go ahead and share your top 3.
And first, I have the Diamondbacks.
The Diamondbacks? What are their new jerseys?
It's like
Is it the copperhead snake on there?
It's Spanish
No.
for a Diamondback, right? Like serpientes or something.
Okay, it's the purple. It's the ones that look like purple and green.
no, it's not that one.
Not those. Those are the new ones.
Those are the new ones.
Those are the new ones, yeah.
The old ones were like sandy beige
Yeah,
colored.
the old ones.
All right. So
Oh,
those are your
yeah.
number 3.
Yeah, the
All right.
old
Your number
Yeah, like
3,
the desert color. Yeah,
the desert. All right. I like the desert ones.
yeah.
Yeah, like
All right.
Because Arizona is located in the desert. Just
Got it.
yeah.
All right. So, and number 2, you've got the Orioles jerseys, right? Who do you have as number 2?
I have the Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays?
Yeah.
All right. I like the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays were the dark blue with the light blue.
they got the
letter.
sky. Yeah, the
the
skyline.
skyline.
All black.
in the
Those look
background.
nice.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So the Orioles weren't number 2. So now I know where the Orioles are coming. Who do you
Oh
have for
no,
number 1?
you what, no, this is number 3. You don't want to hear who number 3 is. This makes
Oh,
me a little
number
bit
3.
nervous.
All right. Who's number
Yeah.
3?
Atlanta Braves.
The Atlanta Braves?
Yeah.
I don't mind the
they're
Atlanta
cool.
Braves with just the A, the old classic. It definitely makes me think Hank Aaron and like old school baseball. So I don't mind that one.
Yeah. I know. I just get a little concerned whenever he likes anything from the Braves, being in Brave country,
I know.
trying to raise my son to be an Orioles fan, and this year isn't helping.
All right. Number 2.
No, we just went through the top 3.
Oh, you guys
Diamondbacks,
did 'em in a-
Blue Jays.
Oh, so you did a 1, 2, 3. You did it the other
Braves.
way?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you
That's
think? This is
not
a
how
game
you
show?
do-
You think it's a game show?
That's not how you unveil them. You're supposed to do 3, 2,
You think
1.
this is Letterman countdown?
Okay.
So hold on. So Silas, your favorite City Connects out of all the City Connects is the Brown Diamondbacks.
yes.
Okay. Got it. You're wrong.
Well, he's a little biased too because we went and visited there. He got it. Is your hat a City Connect? Diamondback hats? No.
I might look at the hat.
The Orioles have grown on me,
I don't know.
but they're not a top 5 City Connect. How do you like the National City
Go ahead and
Connects?
Get my hat.
What?
We just lost.
We lost Bert. But Silas, have you seen the National City Connects with the cherry blossoms on it? Those are very nice as well.
Yeah, I got them in 11th,
11th, where do you have the Orioles ranked?
16th.
That's all right. That might be a little high. But
I would have the Nationals ranked 30th because they claim to have, oh, look, we're the cherry blossoms. We have all these cherry blossoms. So that's our uniform.
Well, they got
Meanwhile,
new ones this year without the
Macon,
cherry blossoms.
Georgia has hundreds of thousands of cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
And they're much, we have many more cherry blossoms in DC.
Yeah.
So why do they have cherry blossoms?
Well, they got
uniform?
new district flavored jerseys instead this year.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, I do think at the top of my list right now is the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah,
and their
that
Green
green's
Monster
cool.
City Connects, I think, look really slick.
Yeah. I agree. Those are cool.
But
looking.
where do you think, Silas, of the Orioles, not their City Connects, but there are Saturday Oranges
They were
with
all
the orange shirt and the orange pants?
Yeah, you like all orange?
Because I think those look really good.
Yeah,
I
think so also.
I love that look.
Yeah. You're talking to a guy in Silas who spends more time picking out his uniform when we play the show than the actual game, the show. He makes sure he gets a nice uniform.
That's why Fortnite makes so much money on skins. Because that's what kids do nowadays. All right.
I don't think I spend as much time as you, but I do spend.
Okay, sorry.
All right, Matt.
I might have been exaggerating a little bit.
All right, let's get back to baseball for a moment.
Yeah. How do I feel about 3 in a row? I feel good about it, Josh. I feel great about it.
All right. How do you feel about the rest of the month? 2 games
Josh,
against
I don't
St.
care who
Louis.
we're playing. I don't care who we're playing. We talked about last week. We talked about how some of this stuff can be contagious in a negative way. One guy struggles, the next guy tries too hard, he struggles, both hitting and pitching, right?
Yeah.
This happens. You press, and the harder you try in sports, often the worse outcomes you get. The opposite is true. I don't think it's a coincidence that Povich pitched well, and then Rogers pitched well, Kramer pitched well. I don't think it's I don't think it's a coincidence that we see Charlie Morton pitch well today. I don't think it's a coincidence that we see guys all of a sudden pitch well back to back to back, and so that makes a lot of sense to me. And hitting wise, we're seeing a lot of guys, I think, start to, like, Gunnar Henderson is turning. I mean, he's turned the season around. He was off to a rough start.
Yes.
He's now having a really good season. Jackson Holliday looks so good at the plate. I love him at leadoff.
Yes.
That's looking really good.
Even Adley, if you look at the last 10 games, it's getting a lot better.
Yeah, there's 2 guys who still need to turn the season around.
Ryan Mountcastle.
Ryan Mountcastle, Heston Kjerstad. Those guys need to start hitting. Outside of those 2, though, I think we're starting to see, certainly Ramon Arias. Josh, how many balls did we see Ramon Arias hit well when we watched at Boston?
Yeah, very good.
So I think a lot of these things people are getting their slumps, and it becomes almost contagious, less pressure. Over the past week, we're hitting something like 300 with runners in scoring position, and it's wild how much. It shouldn't be surprising, but it seems like a stupid stat, like runners in scoring position. Like it seems like what you hit with runners on should be similar to your batting average with no runners on.
No,
but it's not how it works out. And just if you look at the top scoring teams, they're the teams who hit best with runners in scoring position, right? It's not a huge surprise. You can talk about the home runs all you want, but it's who gets a hit with a run on base. And the last week, we've been getting hits with runners on base. And so I think this is, I don't care who we're playing. I know we're playing, the White Sox next?
Cardinals, then the White Sox.
Oh, yeah.
And I think maybe the Athletics.
Cardinals now, then the White Sox.
Or Seattle and then Athletics.
Well, we got a West Coast trip coming up. But no, I feel really good about the way this team's playing. But having said that, this is essentially the same roster that has been terrible all year. So I don't know why I'm so optimistic. But I guess one of the reasons is I've been expecting this turnaround to happen the entire year. And I'm surprised it hasn't happened up to this point.
I agree.
And the other factor is, and I'm sure you're going to touch on this, Josh, is the injuries and people coming back.
Yeah, I totally, and that's what I was going to say. What excites me is that I'm feeling a turnaround. I'm feeling things start to build, and we don't have the guys back from injury yet. So if we can build this momentum and then get those guys back on top, maybe we can do something that's never been done before with turning this season around.
Yeah. How you feeling, Sash? You feeling
I'm
good
not
vibes?
ready to give up yet. Yeah. I'm feeling the vibes.
Are you ready to throw in the towel? You ready to give up? You ready to be done with the season?
No.
Okay. You ready to turn to football season? No, we're not down here.
No, they're not dead yet. We're still there.
Yeah.
It's not an All-Star break. No.
It's not the All-Star break. But though it is, you bring up a good point. The All-Star break is also around the trade deadline time.
Yes.
And so you do have,
we've got chips.
The next couple months to decide who we are, right? Are we a seller? Are we a buyer?
Honestly, my biggest concern right now is the bullpen. But I really enjoyed what I saw from Kittredge this weekend.
Yeah.
And even Batista had one bad game, one good game.
Yeah. Well, and Sir Anthony Dominguez pitched really well today, and when we saw him in Boston, but he's also looked terrible. Like Dominguez and Soto, both those guys got from Phillies. Like they're a bit wild cards. I don't know. Right. Are they going to come up and give up 5 runs, or are they going to look dominant?
Right now, I trust Aiken. I trust Baker. and I trust Kittredge. And that's about it right now.
Yeah. I was pleased actually to see. I mean, I think this last time we talked, 2 pitchers have been DFA'd.
Yes, we have
and-
DFA'd Gibson,
Yep.
and we've DFA'd Soto? No.
Perez.
Perez,
The
Perez.
other lefty, Perez. And I felt like today with Charlie Morton, it felt like a little bit to me like put up or
Yeah,
get
or
out.
leave.
Yeah,
Especially after like we saw him. He was supposed to pitch like Friday, and then they delayed it to Saturday, and then I thought they were just skipping him over.
yeah.
So
And then you also the Trevor Rogers performance, like, well, maybe now we have a replacement for Morton if we wanted to DFA him, but he looked like his old self today. So now we're
Right.
like, so that makes everything, I guess, better. I guess I'll get another start, but also,
Yeah, and
hopefully
the
this was not just a 1-game fluke.
And the next 2 games with the Cardinals, we get Saguna tomorrow, and then we get Povich the day after. And those are guys we're feeling good about right now.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue Saguna has been our best pitcher this year, right?
Yes.
Isn't that? I think everyone agrees with that.
I think that's
And
an
then-
easy, yeah.
And then Povich has been good, right? Not great, but Povich has. I feel like every start, 5 innings, 3 runs, gives us a chance to win every game. So I feel good about Povich.
Yeah. Awesome.
Love how upbeat. This is the first upbeat podcast we've done
It
in a while.
really is. It's the first upbeat one since we did our bold predictions that we're
Yeah.
back to feeling positive. It's been a rough 2 months. Let's hope this is the turnaround.
Yeah, and it might have helped that we saw them in person. I also think, like, a shout out to Orioles fans. First off, if you haven't gone to Fenway yet, it was on our bucket list. I'm glad we did it, even though the weather was terrible and this is not the best season to go. A lot of Oriole fans there for a team
Yes.
that's having a rough year. I'm just always, even when I go to Camden Yards, I'm always so impressed. Not necessarily with the numbers, but the enthusiasm of Oriole fans. But even the numbers in Boston, like, there were Oriole fans kind of out in the street, certainly in the stadium. They were everywhere. They were not hard to find.
Yeah.
A lot of Birdland representation. So that's
Yep, I think a long weekend helped, but that was
Sure.
great. It's good
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah, agreed. All right, ready to get out of here?
Let's do it.
I guess
Yeah.
Bert's not coming back.
No, Bert is gone. I do
text
not
you?
know what we're going to do about a show next week. We will have to talk offline, and we will try to let the listeners know.
Oh yeah, you got a trip.
because I leave on Saturday for Europe. So I think I might be able to have some time to still do a podcast. We just got to figure out schedules between the 2 of us.
Okay.
Because I'll definitely still be over there cheering on the Orioles and paying attention to the games. Now, if I wear my Oriole hat over there, do I just tell people to duck? Is that the proper thing we say for when you're in England or
Yeah.
London?
I
I'm
would
going to London, Paris, and Italy. So I just say
Yeah.
I like the duck.
I would let them feel it out. If you get people commenting on the duck, then go with it. But
Okay.
don't be the first person to mention the duck. Let them
All
say
right.
it first.
Maybe I'll do a little TikTok asking people, just pointing
Yeah.
to my hat. What is this?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I think I lost my hat in Boston somewhere. This is it's the same as that hat, so I have another one. I'm not emotionally attached to my hat like some people. But this is the second straight trip I've gone on where I've lost my Orioles hat. I went to Arizona, lost my City Connect hat. Went to Boston, lost my Orioles hat. I don't know what happened to it.
I don't know how you lose a hat.
2 hats in 2 trips.
Well, hold
Also,
on.
Our summer's going to get funky. You're going now to Europe.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out, and then next month I'm going to Tanzania.
Yeah. And
for
I
3
have
weeks. That's
talked
gonna get
to
funky.
the Zany one,
Oh, to
and
fill
he
in.
will be filling in some while you are in Africa.
All right, you can get Silas to fill in. You and
I
Silas
think
can do an
maybe I'll
episode.
grab Silas. I think I'm going to be reaching out to Pigtown Sports, maybe some other people. I'm still going to do podcasts while you're gone.
Get RDT in here.
Yeah, maybe. I haven't talked to RDT in a while. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll put a few things together.
Yeah. Jason Lock and 4, you and him can do one together.
Yeah,
Maybe
if
reach
we
out
want to
him.
talk about how cut Adley, DFA Adley, get up Asalo, whatever else. Lacapora.
He's definitely on. He is definitely. I heard him talk about the Orioles on the Tony Cornette show. He was on the Fire Elias. He says the whole culture is toxic. He
Yeah.
says Elias is like a dictator, and anything that goes near Elias dies essentially. He needs to go right as yesterday.
He takes things personally. He probably had a bad run-in with Elias.
Yeah, which is weird because he was 100% on the rebuild.
Yes.
Loving all the prospects. It's just so weird to me. And I get it. I mean, we do it every week, but how quickly fans turn, right?
Yes. But Yes, totally. And
But
he's an everyday.
an extreme version of that.
He goes to extremes. So, all right, let's
And
get
he
out of
has
here
a
on
big
that
national
note.
forum. All right, let's get out of here. You can follow us on all your social media platforms for all our hot takes. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can follow me on X at Section336. You can follow Josh on X
At Josh Soroka.
If you like the show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Thanks for
If you
listening, boys
don't
and
like the
girls.
show, just move on. No need for your review.
Well, you shouldn't be still listening at this point then. Thanks for listening, boys and girls. And as always, go O's.